Ritter's inevitable Firehouse 51 exit continues a frustrating Chicago Fire character trend that should stop. As many already know, Daniel Carey's Darren Ritter is leaving Chicago Fire ahead of the season 14 premiere, and his exit has continued a disappointing trend that needs to be broken. The NBC procedural drama has lost many cast members over the years. Some actors and actresses have left due to wanting to seek other projects, while others have been forced out for creative reasons. Unfortunately for Carey and Jake Lockett, who plays Sam Carver and is also leaving Chicago Fire, his departure can be attributed to budget cuts made by the network. Chicago Fire Season 14 is set to premiere in the fall of 2025, with new episodes airing at 9 p.m. ET, following Chicago Med Season 11 at 8 p.m. ET, and preceding Chicago PD Season 13 at 10 p.m. ET on NBC, per NBC Insider. In the past couple of seasons of Chicago Fire, the cast members have taken turns sitting out of episodes in an effort made by NBC to reduce costs. However, that apparently wasn't enough for the network, and now Carey and Lockett are paying the price. Based on the events of the Chicago Fire Season 13 finale, it's evident that the producers weren't planning on writing out either Ritter or Carver. Nevertheless, they are leaving, and Carey's exit continues an unsettling pattern within the One Chicago series. Based on everything we know behind the scenes, Ritter's departure from the NBC procedural drama is unavoidable, even if the Season 13 finale didn't address his exit at all. He is leaving Firehouse 51 ahead of the Chicago Fire Season 14 premiere. The network won't suddenly reverse its decision, despite fan uproar, because it originates from a problem that NBC seemingly can't fix without getting rid of cast members. So just like that, Ritter is gone. Ritter was hardly in the Chicago Fire Season 13 finale, making many confused as to how and why he would leave the show. He had just moved in with Lizzie Novak and is now a single man. The world is his oyster, and yet NBC is snatching that away from Ritter and all the fans who love him and want to see him succeed. Viewers will likely learn more about Ritter's departure when Season 14 is released. However, since Carey is already gone, he won't be around to give his character's story a satisfying ending. The premiere will probably just explain Ritter's absence in an offhand comment, which is disappointing and disrespectful. Before it was announced that Ritter and Carver were leaving Chicago Fire after Season 13, Chief Wallace Bowden and Derek Gibson, two black men, were the last two characters to exit the series. Now, with Ritter's departure, 3 black characters have left Chicago Fire in the past 2 seasons. So, unless NBC announces any cast additions before Season 14 premieres, there are 0 black male actors in the main cast. Heck, there aren't any in the recurring cast either. Going forward, the cast of Chicago Fire isn't looking as diverse as it once was, which is quite disconcerting, given the fact that it takes place in a very diverse city. It certainly doesn't help that 3 black men make up some of the most recent exits. Ritter's departure ultimately continues a trend that needs to stop, but given Chicago Fire's history, it's unlikely that the show will change its ways. Despite being a main character for 5 seasons and a recurring character for 2 seasons before that, Chicago Fire consistently overlooked and underutilized Ritter for the duration of his time on the series. He has always felt like a side character, only getting a couple of semi-important storylines here and there. Consequently, the One Chicago universe underappreciating Ritter hasn't gone unnoticed. It's a shame because, from what we saw of Ritter, he was undoubtedly one of Chicago Fire's best characters, and it's too late to give him his due. Now that he was one of the first options to boot from Firehouse 51 when budget cuts had to be made, It's clear that NBC has never recognized Ritter's value. It's a shame because, from what we saw of Ritter, he was undoubtedly one of Chicago Fire's best characters, and it's too late to give him his due. It's a moment many Chicago Fire fans saw coming, the eventual departure of Darren Ritter from Firehouse 51. His exit, while not entirely a shock, highlights a frustrating pattern that has become all too familiar on the show. It's a pattern that not only deprives fans of a rich character's future stories, but also underscores a growing issue in the writer's room: the habit of phasing out beloved team members just when their potential is beginning to blossom. Darren Ritter isn't just a background firefighter. From his first appearance in Season 7, when Herman took him under his wing, Ritter has become a key part of 51's family. His kind nature, strong moral compass, and ability to find lightness amid tragedy made him a perfect counterpart to the more hard-edged members of the team. His bond with Herman, his close friendships within the department, and his unique struggles, from navigating his sexuality in a predominantly hyper-masculine workplace to growing into a proficient firefighter, made him a character we were excited to follow. But now, just as Ritter seemed to be stepping into a more substantial role, his story is being cut short. His exit feels less a dramatic, purposeful narrative decision and more a symptom of a frustrating trend. A trend where rich, well-developed secondary and supporting characters are removed from the canvas just when their stories start to flourish. It's a pattern we've previously seen with the exits of Peter Mills, Junie Borelli, and Gabby Dawson. And now it's threatening to undermine the future of 51 once again. The issue at hand. Why is it happening again? It's hard not to question why the writers continually do this. Why do we lose a character just when we're starting to connect with them on a deep human level? Some might say it's a necessity, a way to keep the show fresh, or to reflect the messy, transitory nature of firefighting, where not everyone sticks around forever. But when it happens repeatedly, it starts to feel less purposeful and more lazy. It signals unwillingness to resolve character journeys in a satisfying way and a tendency to cut them off just when they're becoming the most rich and dramatic. Ritter's exit highlights a pattern where the show drops side stories without fully exploring their potential, choosing instead to bring in a new face to fill a spot, ignoring the investment fans have made in a character's growth. It disregards years of character development in service of shock or novelty, a move that feels more frustrating than dramatic. Missed opportunities in Ritter's arc. If we reflect on Ritter's trajectory, we realize how much more there was left to explore. His struggles with confidence, relationships, and his future in the department were only beginning to come into focus. There were numerous storylines left on the table. His growing maturity under Herman's guidance. What kind of leader might Ritter become? His marriage plans and future with Eric. A rich opportunity to portray a stable, loving gay relationship within the context of a first responder family. His struggles with vulnerability. Letting people in, trusting himself, and owning his decisions. A universal story made unique by his context. Instead of letting these storylines flourish, the show chose to cut him off, adding him to a growing list of what might have been. The frustrating trend that should stop. This pattern signals a troubling view from the writer's room, the view that character depth and sustained development are expendable. The show has gotten into the habit of swapping people in and out instead of honoring the journeys it starts. This approach disregards the deep investment fans put into these stories. Viewers connect profoundly with character journeys. We celebrate their triumphs and suffer through their struggles alongside them. To cut these journeys short not for narrative necessity, but for novelty's sake feels unfair, not just to the actor and character, but to the fans who care about their stories. Furthermore, this trend underscores a lack of patience in character building. The greatest stories come from letting relationships evolve naturally, from letting people grow, falter, redeem themselves, and become something greater than when we first met them. There's a rich dramatic potential in staying the course with a character, a potential Chicago Fire repeatedly fails to realize by cutting stories off just when they're blooming.